Welcome to our series, Moving America Forward. Each week we'll be focusing on America's entrepreneurs as they take us to new roads, new opportunities, new ways to fill the gaps left by today's failing companies. Our series will be looking at that and a lot more. So come with me and watch as the entrepreneurs of our nation move into the future. I'm William Shatner, and you're watching Moving America Forward.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our studios in Los Angeles with our guest today, who is the founder of the Mathews Law Group, headquartered in San Marino, California, which is here in the Los Angeles area. His name is Charles Mathews. Mr. Mathews, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, sir.
I want to point out Mr. Mathews has a lengthy legal background. He has served as a Los Angeles district attorney, and he was involved in the corporate arena for many years as a corporate attorney for a corporate giant like Texaco. He was also an attorney for one of the largest real estate firms in the United States, Coldwell Banker. And then he started his own firm, the Mathews Group, and that goes back some 32 years. So
That's correct.
You've been at this for a while. You know, interestingly, you had a chance to have a discussion and answer some questions with William Shatner just a little while ago. Let's take a quick look at just a brief portion of that, and then we'll continue.
Okay.
I know you've been successful in your business, but what I would like to hear is just a brief capsule of exactly what it is you do and who do you do it for, and how do you see this helping America to move forward?
What I do, Mr. Shatner, is devote my life to pursuing justice on behalf of the little guys of America all across the country. We take on Goliaths in jury trials and have obtained millions and millions of dollars in verdicts and settlements on behalf of our clients. Despite the odds, Mr. Shatner, we dream the impossible dream for our clients, and we often deliver it.
You know, that was really fascinating when you told Mr. Shatner that you represent the little guys against the Goliaths. What kind of cases does your firm really take on? What do you mean by the little guys?
All kinds. It depends on the person, but usually it's a small individual, small in the sense that they're not powerful, they're not rich, they're not a huge corporation. They're a person who stood up for something that was right. The bulk of the cases we have are folks who have had the courage to stand up for justice and who were punished, retaliated against, and hurt. We do discrimination cases, wrongful termination cases, retaliation frequently, where for example, doctors who've stood up for their patients against insurance companies have been attacked and hurt by those insurance companies because they fought for their patients' lives. Yeah. They fought for quality care. Those are the types of people that we've had the privilege to represent. Recently, for example, we had a man who was a whistleblower against the Countrywide Bank of America conglomerate. Yeah. And this man stood up to Angelo Mozillo and Countrywide and Bank of America, and a jury of our peers awarded him a huge damage award for the courage of having stood up to those people even though they fired him.
You know what I find interesting is you're headquartered here in the Los Angeles area, but you have cases that really stretch all across the country.
Yes, we're representing clients from the East Coast to the Northwest to Southern California, all over.
How do people hear about you? What brings them to you?
Well, mostly it's word of mouth, and for some it's the internet. Folks who are looking for somebody to help them take on the Goliath that hurt them. They look on the internet and they'll find that we're not afraid of the giants. We're not intimidated.
And do you go, for example, to Minnesota or New York or Alabama or
all over
to represent these people?
We go from, you name it, from Anchorage, Alaska to Atlanta, Georgia, we'll go.
Now your firm, there are what, 4 other associates with you?
Yes, there's a total of 5 lawyers in our firm.
And you're all dedicated to doing these kind of cases.
Every one of my lawyers is a believer in trying to be Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. Our guys are committed to justice, social justice, real justice, and trying to do what's right.
You know, so many people are concerned when they think about going to talk to a lawyer, one especially whose name they read about in the papers handling big cases. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. I don't have the money to, you know, to pay an attorney like that. That obviously is not a big issue with you at the front door then, is it?
I got to tell you, you know, lawyers as a class are the folks that engineer social change, and you will find that there are many, many lawyers, good lawyers who are dedicated, passionate, and caring, not just us. Yeah. I'm proud to be a lawyer. I love being a lawyer, and I love being able to help people. And like my dad told me many years ago, you have to have no fear, especially when you're taking on giant corporations and trying to get justice for people.
Well, let's take a look at some of the more memorable cases that you've handled. I mean, you just mentioned one, but obviously there have been many in
Sure.
more than 30 years of doing this.
The Bank of America case was typical. This was a guy who was trying to be the corporate due diligence agent, helping his company do what was right, and he ran into a buzzsaw at Bank of America and Countrywide when he pointed out that they were doing things that were wrong and probably illegal.
And this was after Bank of America had bought?
Yes. Actually, what he had done was happening while Bank of America was purchasing it, and it continued after Bank of America.
So this is a fairly recent case then.
Absolutely, and a jury awarded him over $3.8 million. So he got justice. And of course, the defendants always deny that they do anything wrong. We had a Kaiser doctor, an 18-year emergency room physician, an African-American doctor with great heart. He had a wonderful life, beautiful wife, great working conditions until he saw the conditions at this hospital that he was working at one of the Kaiser facilities, that the emergency room quality was deteriorating. One thing after another, he saw the quality failing and getting worse and worse, and he stood up to them. And he wrote letters, and he tried to do it within the corporation. And they shut him down, and the louder he got when things were happening wrong. And let me give you a particular example, the straw that really broke the camel's back for him. One Friday night in their ER, there was a young man, a young Caucasian guy, 35 years old with his mother, standing in line because he was experiencing chest pains. It took him almost half an hour, according to the reports, to get through to see a nurse as to why he was in the ER, because it was overcrowded and understaffed. The nurse, who was not properly trained in emergency medicine, handed him a card and said, fill these forms out, and told him to have a seat in the ER. 2 hours later, he was still sitting in the ER, still experiencing chest pains, when he collapsed to the floor and died. That's when they called this doctor out. The doctor came and tried to resuscitate him. Couldn't. The mother, who had a heart condition, began experiencing chest pains. He ordered a nurse to go get nitroglycerin, something that would have provided immediate relief for her. Right. The nurse ran. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. 5 minutes later, a breathless nurse comes back. They had no nitro. In the emergency room of the hospital, the woman could have died as well. That was one of the things this doctor was fighting about. And when he raised his level of awareness and sent letters up the food chain all the way up to the corporate managers, you know what they did to him? They suspended him, cut his pay, set him up for termination, and did everything but shoot him. We brought that case to trial, and a jury of his peers found Kaiser in that case had retaliated against this physician, and that's typical of the kind of client that we represent. But we don't represent just doctors or people who take on the banking industry. We represent lots of little people, just ordinary folks against businesses. And sometimes...
What makes you decide whether you're going to take on a case or not? Obviously, somebody comes to your office. I presume maybe they call first and you set up an appointment. But what happens?
Well, the first test that I have is, do I like this person? Because I'm going to have to work with them very, very closely. Yeah. The second test, and the one that's perhaps the most important, is their cause meritorious? I mean, is this something where if I spend my energy, I'm going to be doing some good, not only for that person, but for our society? I mean, I have 6 kids. I want them to have a much better world to live in than the one that I grew up in. And part of my job, and that of every lawyer, is to try to improve our society. So if we have a cause that is just, if we have a person that we like and care about, then I will invest me and my other lawyers in this person to defend them, to prosecute their claims, and try to get them justice.
And how do you work it in the firm? Do you take all these cases, or do you sit around with your other partners and say, all right, Frank, you take this case, well, and you all work together on it?
In our firm, everybody works on every case. Right. I mean, it's a team effort.
Right.
I mean, I'd like to think that I'm as smart as I'll ever get, but I figure I'm not nearly as smart as I'd ever like to be.
Right.
And these other younger lawyers that support me are terrific. They're committed, they're passionate, and they're smart. Frankly, they know the internet a lot better than I do and can do a lot more legal research faster than I can, because I'm an old school guy. But I'm the guy that tries the cases right now, and my young guys help me, and they build those cases, and They're terrific young lawyers. I'm proud to have them on my staff.
And what would you say is your track record? Somebody obviously would ask you that. How successful have you been in defending these folks?
Well, I'd say we're very successful. I think the Indians have a saying that you know your own strength by the size and vigor of your enemies. I have many large corporations that would love to see me wiped off the face of the earth. No, we've been very successful, Doug, and it's because we passionately pursue justice. And they can lie, they can create false documents, which some of them do. They can defend the indefensible, but ultimately a jury of our peers, that's the ordinary folks that are out there in our society, someday they're going to be faced, those corporations and those people that did wrong are going to be faced with accountability in front of 12 ordinary citizens. May have a plumber, may have a PhD, may have a housewife, may have a retiree on that jury. But juries are the common sense of our society. They're the conscience of our society.
And do you find in general that juries really do listen and are intelligent enough to make the right decision?
You got to remember, you got 12 folks there.
Yeah.
You know, some are brighter than others.
Sure.
Some have more common sense than some with higher degrees.
Yeah.
But on balance, I'd say our juries most of the time get it right. Not always, because justice isn't perfect. We lose some cases that we think we should not have lost, but it's not for want of effort.
Well, you know, it's inspirational to hear you say that, because sometimes you wonder. But
Well,
that's
well,
really
I got to
good.
tell you, you know, just like in a lot of professions that some of them get a bad rap, we've got some lawyers that aren't as ethical as they should be.
That's true.
But I'll tell you this, the vast majority of the lawyers that I work with, on both sides, there's many honorable defense lawyers. And I'm proud to be a lawyer, and I'm proud to work on cases for the little folks.
Well, it's a pleasure to hear your story, Mr. Mathews. Pleasure indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
I'm William Shatner, and you're watching Moving America Forward.
This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it's my honor to present this prestigious award to Charles Mathews, the founder of the Mathews Law Group of San Marino, California, for the outstanding work that his firm is doing to help keep America moving forward. Mr. Mathews, it's a real pleasure to give this to you. Congratulations.
Doug, I want to thank you and Mr. Shatner. It was a pleasure meeting both of you today, and I and the other lawyers who work in my firm very much appreciate this award. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That's it for another edition of Moving America Forward. I'm Bert Tenzer. Join us again as we continue to bring you the entrepreneurs who move America forward.
I'm William Shatner, and for all of us at Moving America Forward, thanks for watching.